Hi, it's Jenna Hansball. A few days ago, I was just relaxing, playing the guitar, and this melody kept sort of recurring in my mind. It was this. I was thinking, oh yeah, I know what that's from. That's Days of Wine and Roses, the Wes Montgomery rendition, and his guitar solo from that piece. And so I just picked it up by memory, trying to remember the melody. And I thought, well, why don't I just learn the whole solo and just transcribe it and then go through it on my channel? But before I did that, before I posted it, I was looking just to check to see if anyone else had done a transcription and analysis of it, which I should have done before I learned the solo, but never mind. And it's already been done. And that's absolutely cool. So what I decided to do then was, instead of just, discarding it and moving on to the next thing, what I really wanted to do was take phrases from that solo and show you how you can incorporate these phrases into your own playing. Now, this is something I see a lot. There's these guitar players that will learn the solos note for note and then perform them. I mean, I've done this myself, but just leave it at that. And I think for your own personal growth as a musician, it's really important to take those phrases and do something with them, not just play them exactly like the record and then move on to the next solo. I think it's really important to maximize your time by getting something out of it that informs your own playing. And that's what I'm going to do in this video today, is we're going to look at a couple of phrases from the Days of Wine and Roses solo and see how we can integrate them into our own playing. Now, all jazz musicians, when they're learning, they transcribe solos. This has been going on for many years. And it's a form of imitation. You copy the solo, you play the solo over and over, and eventually you get bored of playing the same solo, or somebody in the band sort of points you out and say, hey, you're not playing that lick again. That's that Wes lick, that's that Parker lick. And then you get a little bit embarrassed and you think, okay, yeah, I better do something. So what invariably happens is you change it. You modify the notes. You might change the rhythm. You might change certain pitches. You'll, reorder the notes. And so you still retain the vocabulary of the solo. You still retain the vocabulary of jazz in general. But you start to put your own mark on it, the way you phrase these melodies and the rhythms that you use and the inflections and all these subtleties that make you distinct. For me, Wes Montgomery is one of my favorite jazz guitar players. His sound is just absolutely wonderful, and the notes he plays, he always plays beautiful melodies and beautiful improvisations. I've never heard him play a bad solo. And he really epitomizes that classic jazz tone, jazz sound, jazz vocabulary. Let's start from the turnaround just before Wes's solo begins. That turnaround is really interesting. Ordinarily, more conventional turnaround would be F, D7, G minor, C7, F, which is like a 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5. But instead, you got the 1, the tritone substitution of the 6. So if you think of the altered 6, it's a D7 sharp 9, and then you put A flat in the bass, you get the tritone substitution, A flat 13. But the A flat 13 then acts as a 5 for the D flat major 7. Then moves down to the G flat 7 sharp 11, which again is a tritone substitution of the 5, which would be C. And then to the 1. And Wes outlines this in the melody that he plays at this point, the beginning of the solo. So, now, that's a really nice phrase. And of course, you could lift that phrase and play it over an A flat 13, D flat major 7 to a G flat 7 sharp 11, or you could just play it over a static F major 7 vamp Say, for instance, you're jamming around, the keyboard player or whoever happens to be accompanying you is playing the F major 7 vamp, you could throw that in. So I just threw it in before going to the strong chord tone of the 1, F major, even though the accompanist is not changing. Why would you do this? Well, one reason you would do this is because if you're playing over a static F major 7 chord, it could potentially be dull. So to make it interesting, you can add chromatics, you can add, these altered notes that play off the 5 or sort of an approaching chord to the 1 during your solo to give it some interest, to give it an intrigue. Because, as I say, that F major 7, if you were just vamping over that, you were playing a solo over that, it can be challenging trying to create new ideas. So that's one way you can do it, just playing off the 5. I did it again there. So let's move on through the solo. F major 7, D7 flat 9, G minor. Now that's lovely. It's a kind of descending B flat major 7 arpeggio. With the major 7, 5th, 3rd, root, going up to the major 3rd. Could also be a D minor. And I love the way it descends. It's very pianistic, you know, it's something that you would do on a piano. Now, that's something that could be used over a G minor, or in fact, even a B flat major 7. But let's just assume we're playing over a G minor, G Dorian type vamp. Something like that. It inspires ideas. Essentially what we're doing here is taking phrases, lifting them as direct lifts, and then embellishing them. This is the kind of thing that happens with all jazz musicians, especially when you're learning, you're transcribing, you're trying to get used to the vocabulary. Now that's lovely. And that's played over a E flat 9. So I may lift that and play it over an E flat 9. That's a direct lift there. Let's see if I can embellish it. Something like that. I'm just making it up, so it may or may not work. I'll try it again. Now I could also play it over a B flat minor, because E flat 9 and B flat minor are related. So let's see how it sounds over a B flat Dorian. Okay, after that, that is lovely. Play that over D minor, or a 5-2-1, an A7 sharp 9, A7 sharp 5 to a D minor. Or over a minor 2-5-1. Quite an obvious lift there, but you can change it around just like we've been doing with the others. That's such a great phrase there, really wonderful. So after lands on the A for the A11 or the G over A. So those are the chords he's playing it over. B flat minor, C7 sharp 5, and then resolving to the 1, the F major. Gorgeous. So what can we do with that? Well, obviously if we are playing over chords or we're playing over the tune itself, that's one phrase that we could play. But again, it's going to be a direct lift and people are going to recognize that you're playing the solo. So now, first of all, let's look at it as an idea we could play over an F major 7 chord fam, like we did in the first example. Let's just assume we're playing over an F major 7, and I'm going to throw that phrase in. It then goes to E flat major 7. That's really nice to play over an E flat major 7 chord. Let me see if I can improvise with that one. That is beautiful. That happens over the D7 flat 9 just before it resolves to the 1, the G minor. And it's derived from the D altered scale. It's also kind of a augmented, which is fair game because the D altered scale has an augmented shape contour within it. So that works out really nicely, but it's also a beautiful little phrase. And he breaks into that little run, that descending run over the G minor. It's so gorgeous. Just there, that arpeggio, the G minor 9 arpeggio, and then a little semitone run from the major 7th to the root, and it reaches right up to the 9 there in its entirety. And after that reach to the 9, there's a little bit of a bluesy thing going on there. Even though he's still over G minor. Almost implying in like an F major. You know, if you're in F. It's implying that sound, even though he's playing over the G Dorian. Wonderful. And that change there to the B flat minor. Da, 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 ba, da, 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 da. That's all. So again, let me improvise around it and see how I can incorporate that as a direct lift first. Okay, now I'm going to try and embellish it. So a couple of ways towards the end there, it's the same shape, it's the same contour, but just rhythmically changing it. So the original variation. That's it. That's the secret, is just to keep varying it until it becomes something that you can improvise with. And not necessarily, even when you've made it your own, it doesn't stop there, because then you're repeating yourself. So you still have to keep building, you still have to keep developing it when you're improvising. Otherwise, every improvisation will sound like the last one. So you've got to be able to improvise with it as well once you've sort of made it part of your own vocabulary. And that's really lovely there. Again, still over the B flat minor. Although in my mind it looks to me like an E flat, sort of a kind of a mixolydian thing there. Not necessarily, but it could be seen that way. So if we just assume that it's an E flat mixolydian sound, let me improvise with that. Again, direct lift, and then I'll embellish. I like that. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So again, just building on that phrase. So over that phrase, it goes to the B minor 7 flat 5, and then down to the B flat 7, B flat 13. That's a really nice lick there. And then the last 4 bars with the A minor. So there's a lot of information there. He goes to the kind of a straightforward outline of the A minor, just an A minor arpeggio, A minor 7 arpeggio, descending, just a D minor arpeggio, D minor 7 arpeggio again, to the G minor 7 arpeggio, and then the C7. This time he just does the 4, 2nd, flat 3rd to the major 3rd. So that passing note to the major 3rd. And then on the F, C major arpeggio over the F major, which is obviously going to work. Emphasizing the 5th, the major 7th, and the 2nd. And this is where he goes to the A flat 13 chord, or the A flat 7. Just there. So it's F major. When it goes to the D flat major 7, major 3rd, 2nd, 7, 6, 4th down to the 3rd. C augmented, which is applying the 5 before it goes back to the 1. So I'm going to just flip between the F major and the C augmented. And in Wes's solo, he does that really cool thing when he goes back to the 1. He pivots around it, so he plays in relation to F, flat 2, major 7 to the 1. So he's dancing around the root note there. So again. As I said, a lot of information. The chords he's playing over are so there you have it, just an absolutely wonderful solo from Wes, and hopefully you got something out of it. As you can see, I'm trying to create something from what I'm learning, because let's face it, transcribing takes a long time. It's laborious, but it's very, very useful, because not only are you learning to transcribe, your notating skills, you're improving your ears by picking out the notes and listening to the same phrase over and over. That's going to make your ears better. And your technique, approaching the guitar in different ways, in unique ways, especially if you're learning other instruments, which I've done in the past. I've learned keyboard solos or saxophone solos, and the mechanics are different. So therefore you have to apply different sort of technique on the guitar to play them, which can inspire ideas. So a very, very important thing to do. Now, I understand that it's not for everybody. Not everybody wants to transcribe, and that's absolutely fine. But it's there if you need it. It's there if it's something that you want to tap into. And apart from improving your notating skills, your ears, and your technique, it also improves your vocabulary, as I've hopefully just demonstrated, where you can take phrases and develop them, make them your own, make it worthwhile. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, is just make your transcribing, make your work worthwhile. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.